that if we're being honest right now, and I hope we are, that if we had a choice, this is not what we would choose to be doing today, is it? But it's the reality of life, and it hurts, right? And there's no magic words I have that's going to make it feel okay. There's no right or wrong way to do this. People that know what I do, they give me books all the time from these experts that tell us how we're supposed to do this. I just throw them away. Because I've been doing this long enough to know that there's not any experts. And there's not a right or wrong way to do this. There's not a good way to do it, right? And if you're like most people right now, don't you just feel a little bit awkward? Because really nobody knows how to behave at these, right? Is it okay to laugh? Is it okay to cry? You're probably thinking, gosh, I don't know what to say to the family. Guess what? They don't know what to say to you either. So can we just make a deal before we start? Can we just make an agreement? Can we just be ourselves? Can we set aside the formality and let's make this about Anita and just set aside that and be real, be ourselves, right? Everybody grieves differently. If you need to laugh, laugh. If you need to cry, cry. If the kids get a little anxious and they make noise, I heard a little one crying out there a while ago, and I said to Mother, that's my favorite song. Right? Because that's life, and I know that she would love that. She'd be okay with that. So let's just be ourselves and be real and make it about her, right? And in the interest of being honest, I'll be honest with you. Because the honest truth is that I haven't met Anita yet. Did you catch that? I haven't met her yet, but I'm going to. Because I believe that she's alive right now. I really believe that. With all my heart. And I believe I'm going to meet her someday. And I told Matthew, I said, when I meet her, I'm going to look her right in the eye. I'm going to say, so Anita, how do you think I did at your service? And you know I'm going to get a good critique. She'll write me up a review, right? And that'll be great. I'll know her forever. See, most of you, even if you didn't grow up in church, I'll bet mostly everybody here probably grew up hearing this story about a little shepherd boy named David. Remember, he took a slingshot and he killed a giant named Goliath. Almost everybody knows that story, even if you didn't go to church. But a lot of people don't know that same little boy grew up to be the king of Israel. And that man, King David, was one of the wealthiest, most powerful men that ever lived. And that man, King David, he had a little boy that he loved more than anything. This little boy was his pride and joy. Now, you know, he had other kids, but he had this little boy later in life, so he was just special to him. And he loved this little boy. And that little boy got sick, and he was dying. And David was so distraught that he ran to the temple and he fell on his face at the altar and he started begging God, please God, don't take my little boy. Please, I will do anything, God. Bargaining with God. You ever do that? I do it all the time. He was bargaining with God, don't take my little boy, I'll do anything. Well, he was so distraught that he wouldn't leave the altar. Night and day, he stayed there, round the clock, just praying, begging God. His guards would come and say, David, you've got to come and rest, you could come back, but he wouldn't leave. And then they would say, bring him food and say, David, at least eat something and keep your strength up. But he refused. He wouldn't eat anything. Day after day. They would even try to get him to drink. He wouldn't even drink anything for days there at the altar. And finally, after days and days and days of being there praying, that little boy died. And his guards were afraid to tell him because he was so distraught and so powerful. They literally were fearful for their lives. They didn't know how he was going to react. And they were in the corner of the room whispering, trying to figure out what to do. And David looks up and sees him. He said, okay, tell me the truth. My little boy's died, hasn't he? I said, yes, David, he has. And David did a really strange thing. He stood up and he said, okay, I want you to go prepare a feast. And I want you to get a bath ready for me and go lay out some new clothes. So after days and days and days of being at the altar, he goes and he takes a bath. He puts on the new clothes. And he goes and starts having a party, like a full-on party. Well, his guards are watching this and thinking what you and I would be thinking, okay, he's lost it, right? He's in denial. He's not accepting that his little baby's died. So finally, one of his guards went to him and said, David, are you okay? And David said, yes. He said, David, you're not okay. David said, what are you talking about? He said, David, for days and days, you've been at the altar. You wouldn't eat or sleep or drink, so distraught over your baby. And now your baby's died and you're having a party? David, this is not normal. This makes no sense. David's answer is what gives me hope for this service today. Here's what he said. He said, what you don't understand is that while my little boy was alive, there was hope. So I prayed, I cried, I fasted, I begged God. Now that he's gone, all of my praying and fasting and begging in the world is not going to bring him back. But I can go where he is. You get that? See, this is not a goodbye service. This is, Anita, see you later. This is an I'll see you later service. Because she's alive, and if you know what she knew and what she would want us to know today, we get to see her again. Now it hurts, we grieve, but we don't grieve without hope. We grieve with that hope, knowing that we will see her. I'll get to meet her. I believe with that in my heart. So here's what we're going to do, just being real and honest. In a moment, you can see that we've got some music we're going to have. Wouldn't you agree? Music's like the language of God. It just kind of touches us in a place that nothing else can. And I've been listening to him, and it's been warm in my heart, ready for the. So I'm going to sing for us in a moment. And then after that, we're going to have some of the family. We're going to come and represent the family and talk about Anita's life. And that's almost impossible to do, right? I mean, I spent all morning this morning just reading through the last resume that she did. And you could, I mean, to honor that life in this amount of time is impossible, right? But we're going to do the best we can. Remember her. And then after that, they're going to sing another song for us. And then after they sing that second song, I need to ask you a favor. I need to ask a favor of you, if you would do this for me. Because I've been honest with you, right? That I haven't met Anita yet. I'm going to meet her someday, but I haven't met her yet. So could you just tell me about her? Could you talk to me? Everybody, wouldn't you agree, everybody here knew her different? Maybe you worked with her, maybe you were a friend, maybe family. But if you could tell me about her, I would be so blessed. And you don't have to come up here. You can sit right where you're at. We're recording the service, so we'll bring you a microphone. But you can sit right there. And I would be so blessed to just hear about her. And then after that, we're going to watch a slideshow together. I've been really looking forward to that. All those pictures over there, they're so cool looking at her life. And after that, after the slideshow, I'm going to come in and do something that honestly I'm not worthy to do. But I've been praying all week that God would help me to connect with Anita in a way that I can do this. And that's that I want to come up and give Anita the last word. What would she say if she could stand here right now? Would you agree she knows something different than she knew a few weeks ago? She has the knowledge of God, and everything makes sense to her in a different way now. And if she could stand here for everything I've heard about her so far, I'll tell you one thing. She'd be thinking about us, right? She'd want to make sure we're okay. And one thing I think she would say to us that I want you to be thinking about through the whole service, so that when I get to that point where I give her the last word, we'll be ready for it. Because if we're being honest like we said we would, okay, come on. Don't you, like me, don't you just have that nagging why question? Why? This is a young woman with so much ahead of her. Why, God? Why would she have to go now? And I think if Anita was standing here, she would say to us, listen, it's okay. God doesn't mind you asking why. He's a loving Father. He doesn't mind you asking. But she'd say, I got a better question for you. Because of what she knows now, she'd say, here's a better question. She'd say, don't ask why did Anita die, because when you think about that, that's no great mystery. We're all going to die, right? Wouldn't you agree everybody in this room is going to die? Whether at 51 or 151, everybody in this room is going to die. She would say, here's a better question. Don't ask why did Anita die. Ask yourself, why am I alive? See, that's the question, right? Because this was a woman, from everything I've seen so far, this was a woman that lived every moment of her life with purpose, right? She had purpose in her life from her first breath till her last breath, and even now. That's why we're here, right? Look at the purpose in her life. And she would say to us, why are you alive? The best way that we can honor her today is by answering that question. Why am I here? I've been praying all week and saying, God, in that service, in that memorial service for Anita, show me something in her life. Inspire me with something in her life that can show me something in my life that needs to change. And I know God's going to do that. I've been preparing for it all week to say, God, I want to change my life to honor Anita. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to ask you to join me in that. So guys, would you sing for us, and then we'll continue and share that.
I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall not hunger. He who believes in me shall not thirst. come to me unless the Father draw him, and I will raise him up, and I will raise him up, and I will raise him up on the last day. The bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world, and he who eats of this bread, he shall live forever, he shall live forever, and I will raise him up, and I will raise him up, and I will raise him up on the last day. Unless you eat of the flesh of the Son of Man and drink of his blood, you shall have life within you. You shall not have life within you, and I will raise him up, and I will raise him up, and I will raise him up on the last day. Yes, Lord, we believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who has come into the world, who has come into the world, and I will raise him up, and I will raise him up, and I will raise him up on the last day.
Matthew, would you come and talk to us about your wife?
Let me just start by saying I know Anita would be running for the exit if she knew all these folks were here for her. She was uncomfortable being the center of attention, but one-on-one, that's where she shined. First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. It was comforting to know how many lives she touched. But for me, it started in Santa Ana. Her sister, Tina, being responsible for introducing us. In the back of a KFC restaurant, Bristol in the morning. My shoes were so covered with flour, you could have thrown them into the cooker and served them as chicken. But I teased her like any immature dude, thinking I was cool. First of many times I played the fool in our relationship. We were married 29 years ago yesterday. She was a simple, classy woman. I got to paint her toenails. She did her own haircuts, mostly. She was comfortable in sweatshorts, jeans, dresses. She always rose to the occasion, whether we were at the beach or camping in the mountains or doing a black tie ball at the Ritz-Carlton. Traveling, she went with her mom, Chizuko, to Japan. She went with my sister-in-law Tina to Greece. She went with me to Hawaii. Well, actually, I went with her to Hawaii. And she went to Alabama to see my other side of the family. She went to San Francisco with Daniel. And she always loved to go out to the ranch with the family. She documented it all in pictures. A lot of you are in our archives. I'll post them on our memorial site. The address is on the pamphlet, and you can go there and snap your own pictures. And as I was going through the albums, I was shocked to see pictures of times long forgotten. And her photography was as important to her as was advancing her skills in business and music, computers. She was a giver who took the extra step to make whatever it was extra special. And I was a witness to this all my life. Fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. Anita loved to have fun. She loved to play practical jokes on Daniel, like asking him to watch a scary movie with her. And then when the tension got to the highest, she'd grab him and go, boom! And then she'd laugh at him. She also liked to go to concerts, do weekend trips to San Diego or to Vegas. And an animal lover. She had her pet birds, Max and Molly. She had American Eskimo, Sunil, Sasha, and Sheba. She had Juker Kitty and Kinky and Willow, her cats. She has Brandy, our dachshund, and Danny, a golden retriever now. But she had numerous other pets, fish, hamsters, guinea pigs, etc. And she's got tons of pictures of that too. And then came motherhood at 37, and she was all over it. The blessing of Daniel was recognized by us both as a gift from God. We knew before marrying that we would never conceive, only adopt.